Sergey, my friend. I told you I was getting here. Didn't I say? Action. Scream. Wait, roll cameras?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, B, Mark. Action.
It's great, too. Great camera move.
Well done, boys. Great camera, great shot, everyone.
I've been on the movie now 14 months. I have seen it from a simple outline to becoming a full-fledged script, and have been able to basically raise it like a puppy to an adult.
Ready, and action.
In the parking structure, that set alone made me nervous to even walk on.
Cut there. Cut.
Originally, we started building it at the studio, and the stage wasn't big enough, so we moved to a shipping manufacturing facility where they actually used to build ships. We took over this massive hangar. That set doesn't look that big in there because that hangar's enormous, but it's huge. Our set was 65 feet tall. Well, that's like a 7-story building. So it's a very complex automated parking structure with hydraulic paddles, all computerized.
The special effects, we work with construction. They built the outside of it and we built the moving parts. The paddles can hold 7,500 pounds each. Either paddle can move at the same time, 180 degrees. 10 years from now, I think I'll remember building this car park structure and filming on this whole thing was quite a big deal.
Okay, cut. So this is pretty cool because we have one giant sound stage, and we have the car drop going on up here where Ethan's car drops down a roller coaster. And we have second unit doing inserts. And then over here is the car park. So it's all of this is going on in one giant set, which is really kind of cool, kind of old-fashioned movie-making wonderfulness. All right, quiet, ready, roll on about, roll sun.
You're shooting double the footage in the same amount of time. You have a massive amount of people working on main unit shooting this enormous set. And right next door you have a bit smaller group shooting stunts and complicated rigs that take time that you don't want your main unit to shoot. We had another unit shooting inserts that Brad and Paul Hirsch have come up with for the film.
When you're putting a scene together, occasionally and inevitably there are moments that are missed. In discussions with the director, you may decide that we need another angle of this, that, or the other thing. Take from there, drag it over here, check it over here, let's see what that looks like. For inserts, in order to do it right, you have to match what was shot before.
Check it out. Cut.
How do you deal with an actor who is very, very afraid of heights?
You lure him in with sweets first, and then you harness him up and start swinging him around. And don't let him out of the harness until you get your shot.
I'm going to move the paddle up to level 1.
And we can show Michael what he's doing.
My whole mission was not to puke. And they put sweat on me, forced sweat. And they didn't really have to do that.
Hold him higher in the frame.
We decided to convince him, you know, we've got you on a wire. You're not going anywhere. Towards the end, he was okay with being 22 feet in the air. He goes, I'll jump from here. For somebody that's afraid of heights, to commit to that, you know, is not bad.
Ready, and go.
I'm not so keen on heights. The thing is, you hide behind your character, so it works in that way.
There's a rumor now you actually want to do it all the way from the top, Michael.
Before the film was shot, almost all of the previs was done in Los Angeles. Previs means pre-visualization. It's a step quite beyond storyboarding.
3, 2, 1, go!
And essentially what you're doing is you're using computer graphics to build your film. You can actually run your camera through the structure in the same way you would a set. You're going to move your characters around as if you're moving them in space.
And jump.
And what it does is it makes sure that it's actually going to work.
Make no mistake, I'm taking that briefcase.
Action! Okay, keep rolling. And action!
There's a certain aspect of being a little kid playing that a lot of people who are in the movie industry have. I mean, they get to pretend. I can go to that imaginary place really easily, maybe a little too easily. When I was a kid, I remember there were certain shows that I liked on TV, and I had to get dressed in the costume of the show. If it were a Western show, I would have to very quickly change into my cowboy gear to watch the show. And so the amount of time between one show ending and the other show beginning, I had to get into the gear. But that shows the fantasy must be, 100% now. Action! I was already preset to that from early on. As are many of the people who are on these sets. They all like building pretend worlds.
All right, give it!
They like creating something imaginary and making it seem real.
Good, that's it.
Okay.
I'm starting to notice little signs that were being done, like my apartment is getting packed up. Things are going in boxes.
And it was 8 to 6.
Now I got to cut this together, and I'm hoping that there won't be a lot of loose ends. And they will show themselves when we cut it together. There will be things that we thought would cut together that won't.
We're on Ethan coming out, seeing Hendrix, the shot that precedes what we just did.
Things that you thought were absolutely necessary, you find out you can easily do without, and then we'll have to change the rhythms.
Action!
But that also affects everything else. You change one thing in Act 1 and suddenly something doesn't work in Act 3, and you don't know what the problem is until you go back and retrace your steps. It's like chaos theory, A butterfly can affect the weather.
In the last year, I've been home less than 4 months. Just going from freezing cold in Prague and to the sweltering heat in Dubai. Back to the freezing cold in Vancouver. Watching Brad Bird make something that should be completely impossible possible.
And cut. That was good. The only thing we should change is we should have more people around here.
Brad is a great storyteller. He understands what works, what doesn't work. He'll tell you how to take something good and make it great. So the most important thing I tried to do with Brad was to explain to him that he's got to find the stamina that it takes to go out and make a live-action movie.
And bang! Rumble! Run!
You're going to work 12 to 14 to 16 hours a day.
Cut!
Sometimes 7 days a week, especially on this movie when you're dealing with this many countries and the logistics.
What I love about what Brad did in this movie is it's an unabashed, awesome, fun spy movie. It completely embraces the spirit of what you would hope a Mission Impossible movie would be.
This was the most ambitious Mission Impossible I've ever done. In terms of the amount of characters, the locations, the scope.
We're hot with the effects, with the rig.
I think it was fully realized with Brad Bird. I think it went even beyond the ideas that I was exploring.
We're set, fire in the hole. Ready and action!
Really, I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Everyone